Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Arnel Arantes, and in this video tutorial we'll be discussing how to send a value from a subform to a main form. Okay, but before that, please subscribe to my channel, Code Eater TV, and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified from my future video tutorial. Okay, let's start. How to send a value from a subform to a main form is a common problem if you'll be developing a Windows application. Okay, so how to do that one? Remember, C# is an object-oriented programming. It means everything that you'll be creating within this language are represented with objects or classes. Okay, and a great example of that is our forms. And since forms is a class, then we can utilize the class important features, which is it could have a member variable or a member method. Okay, and we can use that one to send a value from your subform to your main form. Okay, so how to do that one? What you need to do is to create a variable within your subform and then make it as public so that you can access that variable outside the subform, okay, which is your main form. Okay, so let's start doing that. In this video tutorial, we have a Windows application with a login form to give you an example on the concept of sending a value from your subform to your main form. Okay, your login form will serve as your subform, and then inside our main form, we will be accessing certain value that will check whether the user successfully logged in into our login form. Okay, so let's start. So we have here our main form. Okay, and then we have here our login form. Okay, this is where we will put the code where we will check whether the encoded username and password is available or existed into our users table. Okay, and then after that, we will set the user's full name variable, which is available in the login form, to the full name of that logged in user. Okay, so let's start. The first thing that we need to do is, of course, we will be fetching data into our database, which we will fetch the information of a certain username and password. Okay, so what we need to do is to create a code inside the login button. Okay, it is where we will check if the encoded username and password is available in your users table. Okay, so first is we need to create our connection string, of course, since we need to access a data from our database, and then after that we will be creating a MySQL adapter, a data table, a MySQL command, and then the MySQL connection. Okay, so in our MySQL connection, of course, we need to put the connection string, and then after that we will open the connection, and then after that we will be creating our MySQL command. And remember, in creating a MySQL command, we need to set the MySQL commands connection and the MySQL command text. Okay, in the MySQL command text, it is where we will put the query, okay, which is a select query that will check whether a certain username and password existed into our users table. Okay, so I already have here our select query. Okay, it is as you can see there, it is a parameterized query. So basically, we will change the @password and @username part of the query to a certain value that will be set in the add with value method. Okay, so the password will be @password will be replaced with the password.text, and then the @username will be changed with the username.text. So basically, those are the texts that will be encoded by the username, the user. Okay, so after creating our select command, we will use the adapter, then set the adapter select command to the MySQL command, and then we will invoke the fill method of the adapter to fill our data table. And then after that, we will call the data tables accept changes, so that the data table will accept whatever changes happened after we call the adapters tree method. Okay, so we have here the data table that has the data from our users table based on the encoded username and password. Okay, so what we need to do now is to check whether our data table has a row. So basically, if our data table has a row, it means the username and password that the user encoded in our login form existed in our users table. Okay, so to do that one, all we need is call the uh, rows.count and check if the rows.count returns a zero value or not. So if it does not return a zero value, it means there's the encoded username and password existed in our users table. Okay, so let's just create our simple message box. Okay, so as you can see here, the um, if the source that rows that count does not return a zero, it means access granted. But if it returns zero, so the login form will prompt access denied. Okay, so a few or additional information, guys. You can change the appearance of your message box by setting the title of the message box, the type of buttons, and then the message icon. As you can see here in our example, we using the message icon information and message icon error. Okay, so that's it. So that's an additional information to you guys. Okay, so let's try if our code works. So we'll run our application. But before that, we will of course call in our after the initialize component method in our main form. We will be creating an object of our login form so that we can create a login form and then show the login form from the main form. Okay, so to do that one, just like creating an object of a certain class, okay, we will call our login form as new form and then invoke the show dialog. And then inside the show dialog method, we will be putting there this. It means the main form will serve as the main form of our login form. Okay, so that when we run the application, and the first thing that will be displayed instead of the main form will be the login form. Okay, so let's run our application. Okay, so as you can see here, instead of the main form, okay, the first form that will be displayed will be the login form. Okay, and then that's the time we will type the username and the password. Okay, so for example, this one, so as you can see, it will prompt access denied because the username and the password does not exist in the users table. Okay, so if we will put a correct value into our username and then our password, of course, it will prompt the access granted. Okay, so that's the first thing that we need to do now, since we have the login form done. So the next thing that we will do is to try to set the value of our user full name variable, which is a global variable inside our login form. Okay, so we'll set the user's full name value to the full name of the login user. Okay, we will do that one in the access granted portion of our code, since that's the part where it means the encoded user and password existed in our users table. Okay, so after that, we will automatically close the login form, and then from that, since we have now set the value of our user full name, then we can now try to access that user full name into our main form. Okay, so as you can see guys, if you will type the new form dot, then you can type username. As you can see in the suggestion, automatically you can see there the user full name. It means we can now access the user full name variable. Okay, if you will go back to our login form, the access level of our user full name is public. Okay, so that's one way of accessing our global variable outside our login form. Okay, but if you will change the public to private, automatically it means the user full name can only be accessed outside inside our login form. Okay, so let's try to check if we are correct. So we change it to private and then go back to our main form, and then if we will try to access our user full name variable, then we cannot access that one. Okay, as you can see in the suggestion, there's no available user full name. It means we cannot access the user full name variable. Okay, so we put it back to public so that we can use that one into our main form. So now since we can access our user full name variable inside our main form, then we can utilize that one to check whether a certain user successfully logged in into our login form. Okay, to do that one, so for example, we have our status bar in our main form, and then we will set the status bar current user to the full name of the login user. Okay, to do that one, we will be using the user full name variable since that's the one that holds the full name of the logged in user. Okay, so let's check our work if it works. So let's try to encode the correct username and password. Okay, so after login, access granted. So as you can see in our login form, automatically the status bar produced, or the text of the status bar has the current user, then the full name of the logged in user. Okay, so if we will put a wrong password, so basically what will it do is it will prompt the access denied, and then since in the else part of our code we don't set any value of it, so the current user will be empty. Okay, since the user full name doesn't have any value. Okay, so if we will further modify our code, say for example, in the main form, okay, we will check if the user full name is an empty string or not. So if it is an empty string, it means the user does not successfully log in into our login form. Or if the user full name is not empty, it means the user logged in successfully. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a correct password, access granted. So there's a full name. If we will encode a wrong username and password, so access denied, then the current user is none. Okay, so basically that's how to send a value from your subform into your main form. And if we will further improve our code, so we can change it. Say for example, instead of just putting a current user none, we can just completely make our or close our application if the user does not successfully log in into our login form. So to do that one, all we need to do is to call the environment that exit and then put 0 there. So that means we will be closing our application. So again, in the if else statement there, in the if we check if the user full name is empty. If it's empty, it means the user does not successfully log in into our login form, and if not empty, it means the user successfully logged in into our login form. So if the user does not successfully log in into our login form, so we just close the application. Or we just put the user's full name into our status bar. Okay, so let's rerun our application. Okay, let's put a correct value for the username and password. Of course, it will prompt a access granted and then the name. We'll put the user's full name in the status bar, and then if it's wrong, automatically it will close the application. Okay, so that's it. So hope you guys learned something from me in this video tutorial. So keep coding, keep sharing my videos, guys. God bless.